Alright, all set. And 3, 2, 1, action! This is Cinematic Motif. Hello, I'm Wanson and you're listening to Radio Taiwan International. This is Cinematic Motif, where I introduce you films in Taiwan and around the world. Do you still go to the cinema? This is the big question I've been asking my friends who are in the younger generation. With streaming services like Netflix and Disney+, people have more and more alternative options to watch movies, and thus they do not have to go to the cinema, particularly after the pandemic broke out in 2020. Taiwan's cinema industry has faced fluctuation after the pandemic in recent years. In the pre-pandemic 2019, box office sales in total reached 10.19 billion NT dollars here in Taiwan, drawing 43.2 million viewers. COVID-19 caused a sharp drop in 2020, with revenue halved to around 5 billion NT dollars. 2021 saw further declines, and the big leap came in 2023 as box office sales surged to 7.66 billion NT dollars. However, it is still far away from the box office figure of more than 10 billion NT dollars in 2019. The recovery of the cinema industry in Taiwan seems to be much slower than expected. Is it a global trend? How can we save the cinema industry? Who still goes to the cinema in Taiwan? Let's find out in today's show. I raised my questions to Dr. Feng Bohan, an associate professor of the Department of Economics at National Taiwan University. Bohan is one of the major scholars studying the cinema industry in Taiwan, who recently just collaborated with the Institute for Information Industry, hoping to find out how people are watching movies nowadays. Maybe the decline of the cinema industry is a global trend.
We compare global box office in 2023 with 2019, right before COVID-19. It's a 20% drop in global box office. We are seeing the same trend in Taiwan, but we have more serious decline.
Do you have any idea about why is there a bigger decline here in Taiwan?
I don't know why, but there are a lot of free resources in Taiwan, and we have a lot of different kinds and different forms of entertainment that occupy people's time.
Okay.
So now we have OTTs or streaming services like Netflix and Disney+, and then people in Taiwan spend a lot of time on YouTube and also short form videos like YouTube Shorts
and Instagram Reels.
And then we have so many different kinds of concerts, and then many of them were sold out, and young people are crazy about these things, and all these kind of entertainment activities all occupy people's time, money, and attention.
Okay, so there are many other options, entertainment options for young audience right now.
Yes.
So, in your findings, is there a growing trend of people watching things on, streaming services?
Yes, according to the survey I did in the past few months, we did a survey with the population from age 18 to 65. Actually, 96% of the population see movies, but only 46% will go to cinema, go to movie theater, and 53% of people see movies on traditional TV and 65% on streaming services.
Okay.
These numbers, these channels are not exclusive. So I may go to movie theater, but at the same time, I also
watch movies on streaming services.
On streaming services. So right now, streaming services are the most popular channel for movie watching.
Okay, so were you surprised by this finding, or is it something that we can find in the global trend?
Actually, I'm not surprised because, for example, on Netflix, it's easy for me to try many different things, and the cost of error trying is so little. So in the past, I may not want to spend an entire afternoon to see a Spanish movie, it's too risky. I'm not sure I would like it. But on Netflix, I can just try it. I just click on it and give it 3 minutes. If I don't like it, I switch to a different movie. So in this way, it's not only for people in Taiwan, from all over the world. People start to watch a lot more movies, and then with a lot more varieties. They try new things. They try those genres and topics they didn't want to try it in cinema before.
But also in the statistics that you just mentioned, there are still people going to cinema to watch movies.
Yes.
So what are the factors that still drive people to go to the cinema?
Okay, the number one factor is for social reason. So they want to spend some quality time with friends and family. Actually, 45% of people respond with this reason. And the number two factor is that this movie is a big budget movie with fancy special effect. Like 33% of people give this answer. And number three, I think it is a good thing. So content itself is still very important, and people go to see a movie if the trailer is attractive. There's one more factor that is related. People go to a movie theater for IMAX or other kind of big screen experience,
like 4DX.
Yeah, because this is the kind of thing you cannot enjoy at home. So you can have very big TV screen, but it's not IMAX. It's not immersive.
Dr. Bohan just said that social reasons, big budget movies, and also content are the three main reasons why people in Taiwan still go to the cinema. But I want to take a pause here and listen to the voices of young people themselves. In their observation, who still goes to the cinema? I first talked to Wesley, a graduate student and film festival enthusiast, also a young film critic.
Hello, I'm Wesley, and I'm a cinephile, and I go to film festivals and take great joy.
Let me ask you this question. Who still goes to the cinema in your observation?
Well, I think there are two kinds of cinema goers. The first group is the cinephiles, like I am. They actively seek out what movies are in cinemas and engage in film activities, so they still go to the cinemas. But the other group is the general public. They go to the cinema for entertainment, for enjoyment. So in my observation, they still go to the movies, but not as much as they once had. Because there are too many other mediums to get happiness. Like there's Netflix, there's Instagram, there's TikToks. And so the general public don't necessarily have to go to the cinema for enjoyment now.
But are you the general public?
Well, it sounds pretentious to say I'm not the general public, but I do watch more movies than general public, I would say.
Okay. So, do you watch movies on streaming platforms, and how do you think it's different from going to the cinemas?
Yes, I do watch movies on the streaming platforms, but rarely. Because I think I cannot fully concentrate when watching movies on streaming platforms. Where I find the act of watching and analyzing a picture requires my full attention. And if at home, my phones and laptop are huge distractions that prevent me from doing so. And in addition, the streaming platforms usually compress the sound and the image. So what I'm looking at is probably not the best in quality. So unless it's mandatory, I prefer not to see a film on streaming platforms.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I always get distracted when I'm watching movies on Netflix. Because someone would just email me and, send me a message, and I have to check out my phone, and I hate it. Beside Wesley, I also had a quick chat with Victoria.
Hi, and my name is Victoria, and I'm now running an Instagram account that's called Paris Riba, and that introduces some content about French culture, French language learning, as well as my exchange year experience in Paris.
So I know that when you were in Paris, you actually went to cinemas a lot, and also you went to film festivals, right?
Yeah, that's right. From my observation in France, every age group of people go to cinema. For example, if I go to the cinema in Tuesday afternoon, I'll be watching films with some grandmas and grandpas. And I can see in general, they like to go to cinemas and it's one of their daily activities. But in Taiwan, from my observation, it's mostly young people, like couples who go to cinema. And I also like animations very much. So if I watch animation with my boyfriend, for example, I'll also be watching with a lot of family.
Okay, so do you think that in Taiwan, people go to cinema on several certain occasions, right?
Yeah, I think that serves very much a social function.
Victoria mentions the social function of cinema. In fact, this is also what Dr. Bo Han told us earlier on the show. However, what makes Victoria go to the cinemas less frequently now?
Well, if comparing with now and in France, I definitely go to cinemas less. One is because it's more expensive here. Because in France, movies are cheap, especially for students. And also you get this daily, monthly subscription from movie theaters. So you can actually pay for a monthly fee and watch as much as you like. But the industry is just not as prosperous here, maybe, or just like the cinema culture is different, so it's more expensive and I just can't go as often as I want. And also I noticed another thing, that Taiwanese cinemas tend to choose more Hollywood films. But in Europe, I would just see a lot of French movies or European movies. That's more of my taste. So it's also about a selection of films. And then when I'm back in Taiwan, I'm just sort of piled up with all sort of tasks. So it's also because of the time limit that I can't go as much as before.
Do you watch movies on streaming platforms? And how do you think it is different from watching movies in cinemas?
I do watch films on streaming, especially this weekend. I just went home, my parents' home in Taichung, and we watched some 3 films on streaming. I appreciate that nowadays we can have streaming movies for several reasons. Like, first of all, for its flexibility, you can always choose and from a very varied choices. And then if you just want to stop for a moment and go to pee or like go out for dinner, you can always stop the movie. And then you can also talk in between loudly. You don't need to really care about others. And you can just, share opinions. And always sometimes there are some movies that you're a little bit interested but not interested enough to go to the cinema and pay for it. Then streaming is a very good way.
Despite the streaming services are on the rise, Wesley still believes that cinema has its irreplaceable value. He explained this to me, why he still goes to the cinema.
I think the value of watching movies in the cinema is the experience. You cannot replicate the feeling of watching an IMAX movie and the surrounding sounds of Dolby 7.1 at home. Oh, unless you're rich.
Unless you have a big speaker in your house.
Yeah. So when I was in Cannes Film Festival in 2022, I attended a symposium discussing the future of cinema. And the directors were always asked about how do they find watching movie in cinema still valuable. And they tend to use words like relics, shrine, or temple. So this kind of wordings are for religious. And this really has some profound impact on me in thinking about the issue, because in a sense, going to cinema is like going to a church. It's a kind of experience that is only retrievable in the special place.
So you are a pilgrim for cinema religion.
I hope.
I continue my discussion with Dr. Feng Bohan from National Taiwan University. With youngsters' voices in mind, how can we save the cinema industry in Taiwan? In particular, how can we attract audiences back?
Yeah, it is a very good question. Actually, we raise one more question about this. So, why do you not go to a movie theater and you go to watch a movie on TV or streaming service instead? And the number one reason, I think 60% of people give that answer, is that it's not urgent. I don't feel urgent to see this movie right now, because right now we have too much content around us. So usually we don't feel cherished. So I can always wait when someday I will have the chance to see it. So number one, it's not urgent. And number two, there's no big scene. So no special effect, not a big budget movie. This is number two. And then reason number three, and people think that there are a lot of advantage to watch on Netflix or streaming services. For example, at home, it is more comfortable, it's casual, and then everything is flexible.
I actually I interviewed another young girl the other day, and she told me this very interesting experience. She says she feel like that watching movies on Netflix at home is more comfortable because she can chat with her friends while watching the movie, but this is something that is not allowed in movie theater.
Okay, yes.
So this is I'm just sharing, this is a very interesting fact. It's like they are still doing socializing with people.
Yes.
They're still doing this, serving the social purpose, but in a different context with Netflix at home.
Yes, I think there are different ways to be social, and then the example you mentioned is just one kind, and it is very casual. How do we attract people back to the cinema? And I think several things. So number one, and we need to make movie theaters more comfortable, and then to provide an atmosphere of fun, to make it entertaining. Probably maybe bigger seats, because right now, because number of ticket sales has been dropping a lot, so it means that there are a lot of empty seats in almost every movie theater. So why not renovate theaters and make seats bigger and more comfortable, and you can raise price. So for whoever still want to go to cinema, then they pay more. That's number one. And number two, I think for those content providers like movie distributors or filmmakers, in their marketing campaign, they have to make it an event or big event, and to arouse a lot of discussion, to attract people to join the conversation, to join the discussion. And in this way, it becomes a social event on a different dimension. It is not the case that I can watch movie with friends and then right away talk about it. It's the case that after I see a movie, I can join the discussion on the internet. So
everyone is talking about it.
Everyone is talking about it, just like Barbenheimer last year, like Barbie. So I think intrinsically it is not the kind of movie that we have to see, but because everybody is talking about it, and then we see a lot of people in pink dress appearing in movie theaters. So I'm curious, so I also do the same thing. Filmmakers can create some kind of urgency for people to go to movie theater. And for different movies, people need to come out with different ideas, different creative ways to attract people.
It needs to be something that people can share it in cinema, so that they would enjoy in cinema, right?
If you do it alone at home, it's not fun. So I wear in pink. But if I do it in a public space in cinema, then it's a different kind of experience. Or everybody joins discussion on the internet. Because, for example, right now, for young people or college students, many of them still go to cinema to see Conan.
Yeah, Detective Conan.
Yeah. So
I did.
Okay.
I did that every year.
Okay, every year. Yes. Many of my students do that. Right. And then they tell me two reasons. Because number one, so if they don't go to cinema to see it right away, then maybe later on, like the storylines will be revealed on the internet, then they will lose the joy to watch it. And number two, then they can join the discussion with others. And so, of course, I think students also mention very strong characters, and people go there just because they like one or two of the main characters in the movie. But all these things together create some kind of urgency for people to see it right now.
Wesley also has something to share with us on what movies are made for cinema.
So in cinema history, when cinema was competing with the rise of television, the Hollywood studios invented widescreen formats, and by being larger in size and offering the kind of spectacles that only movie theater is able to give, the cinema was saved. And now, movies are met with other competing mediums like Instagram, Netflix, TikTok. So we have to kind of reimagine what cinema's shape and form should be. So now, I'm not saying that spectacles is the only solution here, but invention is. The studios have to take risks and let the filmmaker try. By being bold in perhaps theme or styles or form, the studios can finally find out what kind of new features the general public is attracted to. So I think what we really need is movies that are clever and inventive in both form and substance, and we have to let the filmmakers test our limits.
I have to mention that, Wesley, you have been a teaching assistant for the film studies class, right?
Yes.
So, some still go to the cinema, some choose to watch movies at home. But how will this change our industry? Do you think that this trend of streaming service is an opportunity or threat for filmmakers in the cinemas system?
Number one, I think it is a huge advantage, and for those small countries to have their works, to have their movies to be international. Right. So nowadays, because every 6 months I read very carefully for the viewership data published by Netflix, and then now I see that right now that there are about like 15 countries that can regularly make movies with more than 10 million viewership on Netflix. I think before Netflix was created, it was not possible. But on the other hand, the existence of streaming services less people will go to cinema due to streaming services. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe the whole industry, not just the film distributors, but also the cinema industry, they also need a change.
Yes, then I think you have to make your movie the storytelling more international. For example, a few years ago, a movie from Taiwan is Zhou. Incantation or something.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, it has
reached the Netflix top 10 in many different countries, right?
Yes. I counted for this movie, and it has received more than 20 million views on Netflix. Yes.
That's a lot. I have a final question to ask you. So there are a lot of directors, filmmakers from all over the world, such as Christopher Nolan, who are insisting that they want to create films for cinema. And for example, he's like making films with IMAX,
yes,
and this sort of special format. Do you think it's helping?
Yeah, it's definitely helping, and then it worked. For example, in the past months, we see the re-release of Interstellar.
It has been so many times of re-release.
Yeah,
because I watched the last re-release. It was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's got very good box office numbers in Taiwan as well as in the US and many other countries. Yes.
Okay, so Bo-Han, thank you so much for your time today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. The market is changing, and the industry should be ready to adapt to the new nature. This has been Cinematic Motif, produced by me, Wanson Wang, for Radio Taiwan International. See you next week.